Hi, Jeff Adamson, Eastbrook High School. I'm going to talk to you today about midline and midline belly. We've been running midline since about 1997. We added some midline belly somewhere around 2000. We've been doing it from a lot of different formations, a lot of different ways, and talk to you a little bit today mainly about how to install it. We're going to look at how to block it. I'm not going to talk too much about the extensive line play. Spend a lot of time talking about the fullback mesh, the quarterback fullback mesh, how we work that and how we practice it, and a little bit about how to troubleshoot. In other words, how you can identify some problems that are occurring in the mesh, make the play a little better for you, and also what you can expect from the defense, what their response is going to be, and how you can respond to that. And then we'll show you some game film of both plays. Got all the line blocking on there for you, so you can see that. Might be easier to look at the play here on this slide. So going across the line there, our split end is going to push off the line of scrimmage. He's going to cut off the corner, keep him in the play. And like I said earlier too, I've got this drawn in a tight end formation. You can run midline from tight end formation, trips. You can run it. About the only requirement you're going to need to have is that you've got a fullback behind your quarterback. Our backside guard and tackle are going to scoop. The backside tackle, his scoop, he's got to keep in mind that he's protecting the quarterback's backside, so he's got to make sure and protect that B gap. The backside guard on his scoop, if there's a one technique, he's going to keep in mind that he's probably going to combo with the center, and he's got to be prepared to take that player by himself. The center is going to rip through that one technique and work up to the linebacker on that side. The play side guard, so if we're running midline right here as it's drawn on the slide, that guard he's got to step, dip, and rip and get up to that linebacker. It's an important piece of that, and you'll see when we get to the video at the end of the presentation, I'm going to show you a couple clips where he doesn't do a great job, and you'll see why that creates a problem. But he's got to be good at that, and we're going to vary his split a little bit depending on how good that three technique might be. Play side tackle is going to block out, and he needs to understand that his job is protecting the quarterback on the play side. So if we get a pull read, that tackle has got to protect for the quarterback to be able to insert in there. And tight end is going to block out as well. The play side slot there, he is going to insert up to that linebacker on the play side. And you'll see a couple clips where he does a real good job of that, and you're going to see a couple clips where he doesn't do a great job with that. Our backside slot really is not going to be directly involved in the play. He's going to be in motion, sprint to the other side, and we always tell him to get a ball call in. So as he's going across on the snap of the ball, he's got an arm up and he's yelling ball, 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 and we want him to attract the attention of either that outside linebacker or corner to make it look like triple option to those guys. Okay, next I'll talk about the quarterback and the fullback in the mesh. I'm going to show you some pictures of what that should look like, but to talk about it here first with the quarterback. The quarterback's going to step back at 45 degrees with the opposite foot. So if we're going midline right, his first step is going to be with his left foot. And we want him to reach back, gain a lot of depth off the line of scrimmage. His second step, we want him to land with his foot slightly behind that first step, and we want him to be balanced in an athletic position. So as he steps back, his footwork, that first step lands. Second one is going to be slightly behind it, so his toe is almost at his arch, and we don't want his feet to be too wide apart. We want that to be a balanced feel for him, so he's in a good athletic position. And his weight should be slightly back on his back foot, about 60-40, with 60% of the weight on that back foot. At that point, too, we want him to get his eyes immediately on the read key, on that three technique, so he can see that all the way through. When you're initially putting this in, your quarterbacks are going to want to peek back a little bit as they're in the ride. They're going to want sneak a peek back at the fullback and be certain that he's there. You can't let them do that. They've got to have eyes completely on the read key. He's going to want to, and what we do to emphasize that is as he's in the mesh, we want him to get his chin on the front shoulder, looking at that 3 technique. Front arm is going to be extended and locked all the way back. Back arm is going to be up against his side with the ball reached back to the fullback. And we always tell him, want him to be strong with the ball, so we want him to have both hands on the ball with middle finger down on the seam of the ball as he's reaching back. Want him to be strong, so we're working with ball security there. Now as he's getting into the mesh with the fullback, and as he's riding through, he's going to shift his weight to his front foot through the mesh. His thought process, we tell him, you're going to give every time. You're going to give to the fullback every time unless that read key closes. So he's thinking give all the time unless that read key closes. And we don't really do a whole lot of crazy stuff thinking, if you see his numbers or you see the shoulders turn, we're going to rep it enough he can tell if that guy's closing, he's pulling. If the read key is going upfield or sitting stationary, it's going to be a give every time. And we want him to make that decision about the time the ball gets to the front leg in the mesh. Now I say that, one of the things you're going to find is your best quarterbacks are going to extend that ride a little bit longer. They're going to take it past the front leg, so by the time those guys are juniors or seniors, we're going to let them take that ride a little bit further along, and it actually is going to make the play a little bit better. If it's a give, we want the quarterback to carry out the fake to be able to help hold the safety. You're going to have a lot of times where that safety is going to be keying that mesh, and if he sees the quarterback pull, he's going to run out of there a little bit. If it is a pull and he's got the ball, we want him to be able to insert, and the term we use is replace the read key. So the read key is closed. We want him to insert into the line of scrimmage, replace that guy in a downhill method. We want him to be a runner. Okay, fullback in the mesh. The fullback's depth in his starting alignment is really going to depend on how quick he is. So if he's a little quicker, he's going to be a step back maybe than some other guys. If he's a little slower, we're going to move him up. And those guys are pretty good at finding out exactly where they need to be and getting that starting point. We want his weight really forward in his stance. We want him to be explosive in his first step, and his toes got to be pointed straight ahead. So his first step has got to be directly straight ahead towards the center with his body aligned over that midline. He can't step and then replace the second one. And when you see video here in a second, you're going to see one of our fullbacks take a couple bad first steps. So we've got a good teaching point there for you. The other thing that's going to be important is as he's making his pocket. So if we're going midline to the right, his top hand, we want him to circle his nipple with his thumb under his pointing finger over to the top, palm out, and that's going to prevent him from clamping down on the ball as he's going through the mesh. Bottom hand is going to make a shelf. We want the palm up, and as the ball's inserted, he's going to, go to this next slide, he's going to accept the ball with the bottom hand from the quarterback. And that's going to prevent him from clamping down on the ball. If your fullback's coming down with that top hand too soon or too strong, it's going to be difficult for the quarterback to pull it when he needs to. If it is a give read, we want him to roll that top arm over the ball and cover up both points of the ball through the line of scrimmage. So when you see the video, you're going to see our fullbacks go into the line of scrimmage with both hands over the ball, covering up both points to take care of the ball. We want to emphasize ball security through the mesh. We never want to have a turnover created by a self-inflicted wound by us not carrying out the mesh correctly. The next thing for the fullback, he's got to anticipate that guard's block. You remember that slide where that guard is stepping up, he's dipping and ripping up to the linebacker. We want that guard, his path is going to be straight through the midline. As he gets into the line of scrimmage, he's going to bend slightly and then return straight up field. And you'll see some examples of that. But we want him to get straight up field after he gets off that bend, so it's going to become one-on-one with the safety. We don't want him to continue running out on an angle. So this is a picture of what that's going to look like. So Up here, he's circling the nipple. We've got thumb down, palm out, and we're just maybe about half a step up here a little bit, but you're going to see the bottom arm is creating a shelf there for the ball. Quarterback, well, one more thing here with the fullback. You see his first step. So when we practice this, we've always got this triangle A-frame drawn on the field, and so you can see his first step is going to be right on that midline down the line or down his path. So we can be sure that he is staying on the midline. Quarterback, if this would be ideal, and he's just holding this for a picture right now, probably this back foot, he might be on his toe just a little bit more as he's getting this far, through the mesh. He's not going to have both feet stationary on the ground like that. And maybe if he's reaching back, you can see a little bit better in this picture. As he's reaching back, that front arm is going to be extended and locked, and we'd want this back arm maybe a little bit more against his side there. And you can see the chin is pointing towards the reed key there. Okay, some common problems that you're going to see in the mesh as these guys practice this. And we've got some video of them practicing it, so you're going to see some examples of these. As you're going through the mesh, especially when you're first starting it or beginning of the summer, you're going to have a couple where fullback's coming through and the ball is on his hip. And that's a problem because that's going to be a potential fumble if that's the case. You got two things to look for. First, your fullback is not staying on that midline, so that first step's coming off, so he's drifting away from the midline and getting towards the reed key. You want to eliminate that. Well, we tell the fullbacks, if you can't stay on the midline, you're going to become a guard. So that's usually a pretty good motivation for them. The other thing that happens a lot of times is when your quarterback takes that initial step and then gets on his second step, the momentum kind of carries him back a little bit. And so when he's extending the ball to the fullback, it ends up on his hip. He's not in a good athletic position, so it's not getting in there into his belly for the mesh. Second problem you may have, quarterback and fullback going through the mesh, they clip shoulders, and you'll hear that when it takes place when you're practicing with pads on. And you're going to have two things with that. First thing, the fullback might be a little bit tight. Usually that's not the problem. More often than not, the problem we have when they're colliding with each other a little bit is either the quarterback has, on his first step, he has not cleared the midline, so he's on the fullback's path. And when that happens, we tell the fullback, you stay on the path, run through the quarterback, and collision him good a couple times, and he'll understand how important it is to get off the midline. Another thing that we've had happen, especially with the younger guys, as they step back on that second step, they compensate if that second step is too far back, so that second step is landing here instead of up here where we want it. And as he's trying to compensate for that elongated step, he's leaning in and his shoulders are getting into the path. Third thing, quarterback has gone through his steps and he's waiting. It's not a smooth transition. Probably need to move the fullback up, and a lot of times that happens with your younger guys when they're trying to find where they need to start. Fourth thing, this is where you're getting into maybe some of your better guys. You're in the mesh. The reed key's coming in. And he is making the play while you are in the mesh, and that's a big problem because as you're going through that transition of the mesh, and that reed key's coming in to destroy the mesh, that's a potential fumble. And probably more often than not, the problem is your guard has tightened down too far. He's allowing the reed key to get in, so we need to move that guard out a little bit wider. And you can usually see on game film some examples of that, but need to make sure that guard is maintaining a good split. Another big problem that we have a lot of times with the younger guys, the quarterback's pulling it. That reed key is closed. It's a pull reed, and he's going to pull, but the reed key has made the tackle at such a place where he can't insert and replace him. More often than not, it's the quarterback's problem because his first step, instead of as he's reaching back, instead of getting off the line of scrimmage, he's almost stepping parallel to the line. You'll see a couple examples of that here in a second. So when he gets the pull, that pile's there and he's trying to go around it, and it's slowing down the play and making it difficult. Okay, I'm going to show you some film here of how we practice that. Before we do here, when we practice this, for us, called the A-frames, we've got this triangle on the field that's going to show their path not only for midline but also for triple option. First thing, we always emphasize PBS, perfect ball security. So we never want the ball on the ground as we're going through these. And the guys, if the ball's on the ground, they're dropping and doing push-ups as they're going through practice. But you'll hear the guys, if you're at our practice, several times through the course of that, they emphasize PBS, perfect ball security. So it's going to be so many different things. Cover up both points as you're going through. Be strong with the ball. Keep the ball high and tight as you get through the line of scrimmage. All those things that you talk about with ball security, we just emphasize it with the term PBS. The quarterback and the fullback always have to communicate with each other after every rep. If it's good, they may just say good. But if there's ever a problem, if the fullback felt the ball on his hip, they're going to talk about why that was. You know, quarterback's got a bad step, or if the quarterback felt like the fullback was clamping down on the ball, he's going to tell him. So we have constant communication with those two, and most of that is through the mesh. But every one of these, while we're practicing this, we're practicing the fullback quarterback steps through the mesh. The slots are practicing their motion and the timing of it. Again, you get a ton of repetitions through the mesh. We're practicing ball security, and the slots are practicing their blocking with every one of these reps that we get. And you're going to see the video of this. We're going to use different tempos with this as we go through. So we may use one tempo in the summer when we're installing it. It's going to be very slow. We're doing a lot of teaching. And what you're going to see an example of here on film, we're going full speed with obvious reads. So we're going to tell the read key we want you to, if you're closing, you're going to step down, turn your shoulders, and you're going to hit them with the pad. If you're going upfield, you're going to take one step, you're going to keep your shoulders parallel to the line of scrimmage and make it an obvious read for the quarterback. We'll go full speed and we'll make deceptive reads. So we'll tell the kid that's being the read key, we want you to show it late, try to step in and then go upfield. Just do different things to make it as tough a read as we can for the quarterback. But both of those, when we're going full speed, we're trying to go as fast as we can to get as many reps through that time period as we possibly can. When you're doing it, we do it a lot in the summer when we're doing at the end of weights and conditioning time, and it can be a great conditioner because if you go 10-minute period and you're going fast, full speed, guys are going to get a lot of reps in and there's going to be a lot of running. Every once in a while at the beginning of the season, I got on there that we're going live. It's really more of a thud. We'll throw the crash pads out and we're tackling. We're not taking them to the ground, but we're fitting up. There's a lot more contact, but we want the defense to try to tackle the ball. So really working on the blocking and so forth with those things. Okay, some examples here. I'll give a disclaimer. I took this group of guys here. This is a group of guys that we have that aren't in any kind of sport through the winter. So with this group, we've got one starter. There's a couple freshmen in here, so we'll get some good mistakes in here as well. Okay, this first quarterback here is a freshman. Okay, to start with, I'll tell you, you'll see this triangle that we have on the gym floor. So that the outside triangle would be the path we'd use for triple option, but for this demonstration here, that middle path right there is the path for the fullback. And normally, right now I'm standing back here just so I'm out of the way of the camera, but normally a coach would stand back here so you can see the path of the fullback, and you've got direct eye contact with the mesh as they're going through those things. But we've got, here's our read key. We're going midline to the right. So this is the read key. He's got a crash pad, and back here, this guy's simulating being the linebacker. So our slot's going to insert. He's going to block here. We're going to see this slot go in motion across, and he's just going to, right now for midline, he's just getting a ball call, timing up his motion. And this is the next quarterback getting ready to go. Okay, Okay, to start with, you can tell just right off the bat, this freshman quarterback has started, his stance isn't good. He should be parallel. Now, we will, at times, stagger the stance for those guys if they're having a hard time clearing the line of scrimmage on their step, but we would actually stagger it opposite of where he is there. So, okay, so we would tell him if he needs to stagger his stance, and we're going midline right, we're gonna start with his right foot back. So when that foot's back and he can push off that right foot, and then as he takes a first step with his left foot, it should get him off the line of scrimmage a little bit further and a little bit deeper. We want the guys to be able to start with their feet parallel in their stance, but we'll stagger that if it's a real problem with the guy not getting there. Okay, so we'll let this run. Okay, so you see this first clip here. Watch the step of the fullback as he's coming through, and you're going to see that he's not. First step is his right foot has gotten off of the midline path, so he should be running with his feet on either side of the line there as he's going through. He's gotten himself a little too close to the quarterback here. Okay, read key closed, so it's a pull read. Quarterback keeps it. Second clip, same thing. It's give read. You're seeing the slots insert, get up to the linebackers, so they're practicing their blocking. Okay, and you're also, I want to emphasize this too. This fullback that's coming through right now, he is making his bend a little bit too early. He shouldn't be making that bend until we get here to the line of scrimmage. And then you're going to see him bend off of this block. You see these guys are going a little bit wide. What we tell them when they bend off of this block here, we want them to clip the hip of that block. So we want them to stay tight. We don't want them to veer out into space. We want them to clip that hip and run upfield towards the safety. Part of it, they're doing that because we have the bleachers so close to this A-frame here. Okay, we got another midline right here. Okay, and I think we're going to go midline left here. Yeah. Okay, and you can see that fullback is still coming. He's still bending just a little bit too early for that. Okay, and again, just to emphasize this, these guys would not have done any of this drill. We didn't practice anything before. We just got out there and videotaped it. So I was hoping we'd have a couple mistakes. This is really bad by this fullback right here. He's going out. He would never go outside the read key. If that read key would close that hard, we would tell him that we want him to stay on that path to draw that read key down. Okay, so you're going to see a few mistakes because these guys were not in season. They're not doing a whole lot of it. Okay, we'll see one more clip here, and then we'll talk some about midline belly. Okay, midline belly is going to be the exact same blocking for the line as regular midline. Nothing changes for them at all. So that's another good feature of the play. It's going to look different to the defense, but it's not really for our offensive line. We're still reading the 3 technique for fullback give, so the fullback can still get the ball in this play. But now if the quarterback pulls, he's going to take another step down the line of scrimmage, and he's giving it to that backside slot who is now inserting and replacing the read key. I'll talk about this a little bit more, but when you're working on that motion and the slot back inserting, we try not to overcoach that with those guys. We want them to be able to find that timing on their own. But the only thing we're really going to emphasize is want you to plant on your back foot, come downhill full speed, and hit the hole, hit the line of scrimmage as quickly as you can. This tempo of this play is going to be different than midline. Midline is going to be ride, quarterback pulls and inserts. This is going to be ride, the fullback, and the slot's going to insert. It's a little bit quicker play, and it's a lot more explosive. And you want to use this if you're going to have a real dynamic slot that you want to be able to get the ball to. The slot play, like I said, we're not going to overcoach this for him. We just want him to take motion through the heels of the fullback, plant on that outside foot, go downhill. He's going to create the same pocket as we talked about for the fullback, but he's going to clamp down a little bit sooner because if the ball's being inserted to him, we're not reading anything there. And the quarterback, after he takes his eyes off of the 3 technique for the read with the fullback, he's got to get his eyes to the slot back inserting. And he may have to, there are some times where he may have to reach it one hand, he may have to extend the ball to him. But if at all possible, we want him to remain strong with the ball, keep 2 hands on the ball, and secure it. And what we tell the quarterback, we don't tell the other players, but when we start running midline belly, we want him to pull it if we can, because when he pulls it, you got a much better chance for an explosive play. Okay, you're going to see some examples here of midline belly. So we're going to see this backside slot is going to insert here to the right. We're still inserting on the play side up to this linebacker. Quarterback is still going to read the 3 technique for the fullback. All right, so that's a give. I think these first 2 are both gives to the fullback. Like I said, you're still going to give the ball if you get a give read. I think these next 2 are both we're going to get it to the second back. All right, so he's getting the ball here, and this slot is probably, we wouldn't want him slowing down and gathering himself here. We'd want him to do a little bit further, so he's going to have a better angle, a downhill angle back towards the play. You can see that quarterback is extending the ball one-handed there too. That's a freshman kid. Okay, so we've got a couple there, the midline belly going to the right. And again, the tempo of that play is going to be a lot different. And I think it's important to talk to your quarterbacks about that. So the tempo of the play with midline, it's going to be read, pull, and go. Midline belly is going to be read, hand off. It's going to be a lot quicker tempo for him, and we want to get it going. Okay, these are some going to the left. This is a good one practicing on the gym floor. This backside slot here is getting the ball's gonna fall down on this one. So you see a good example of us practicing it poorly there. In the tempo of this, as we're practicing inside, it's a little slower than what we would be practicing in season. When we go live, it's going to be rep after rep after rep. They're trying to remember where they're going to get set up. But when we're going live, we're going to get a ton of reps in during that 10-minute period, and we're also going to practice triple during that time period too. Okay, some what ifs. As you're calling these 2 plays, if you're the guy calling the plays, these are some problems that you may run into and how you can fix that to keep it in, as you're running offense. You don't want the defense to take this play away from you. So if you're a huddle team and you've called it in the huddle, you're running midline right, you go up and there's a 1 technique to the right side of the offense. And we've done all 3 of these that I'm going to talk to you about. If you're a huddle team and you go up, there's a 1 technique. You can have an opposite call. So your quarterback comes up. So if you got a 1 technique to the right, you probably have a 3 technique over to the other side. So you can have a opposite. Just tells the offense you're running it to the other side. That was good for us for a long time. We started going no huddle. So what we're doing right now, we let the quarterback call it at the line of scrimmage. We just give him a midline call. He's going to go up to the line of scrimmage, and he'll tell the offense whether we're going to run it to the right or to the left. So as they're getting in the formation, they're not going to know whether we're running it right or running it left. Another thing you can do, we've done this in the past, if you have a 1 technique, you can still run it to the 1 technique. You can make it an automatic pull, and actually if you get to the pull segment of it, we got some really big plays out of that. But you have to have a really good fullback and probably a kid who's going to be big and strong enough that he's going to be able to pull that 1 technique down into the line of scrimmage when that pull takes place. Otherwise, that guy's close enough that he's going to disrupt the mesh enough. Like I said, we had some big plays out of that. That's not the one I like the most. I like the quarterback being able to call it at the line of scrimmage the best. You're going to play some odd front teams who are going to give you a zero technique nose, that big, strong guy that's set up on your center, and you probably have 2-5 techniques on the outside. If that's the case, our answer to that is we're going to base block the nose. We're going to let the center take him whichever way he can. Both guards are going to reach up to linebackers, and our tackles are going to work up as well. So we're not going to block anyone else on the line of scrimmage other than the center. It's going to be an automatic give for the fullback, and he's simply going to read the block of the center on that nose, and he's going to bend either way. And that's been good for us as well. Some other what ifs. A lot of times, what you can see with the really good teams, you're going to see the read key and the linebacker gap exchange. So that read key is going to close, and the linebacker over the top is going to come and replace him. And that's what we normally see from the better teams. If they're really good at it, your first answer, of course, is the slot is inserting to be able to take care of that. If that guy is gap exchanging too quick and the slot can't get to him, our answer is to go back to that 30 dive. So we're going to base block. We're actually going to block the read key with the guard now. And when that linebacker scrapes over the top to gap exchange, he's taking himself out of the play. We make it an automatic give. Fullback's going to take the ball, stay on the midline, and he's going to run through where the linebacker was. If you're getting up to the line of scrimmage and the defensive line is stemming, this is one we still see a lot. They're trying to mix that look up so you can't predetermine where that 3 technique is going to be, or they're trying to shift at the last minute. Again, we take care of this mostly through our no huddle. So one thing, we've got a lot of plays in our offense that they're going to be quick. We don't really care where the 3 technique is, so we can go on a quick cadence. We can catch them, and we go up tempo a lot, so we're not giving them a lot of time to do that, and we've taken care of that mostly with our no huddle. The other thing we do with our no huddles, we use that easy cadence. So we come up, give the false cadence, down, set, hit, and we reset. The defense has already shifted. We know where they're going to be, and then we can call the play. So those what ifs will give you something to respond to what the defense is doing to try to stop or take midline away from you. Okay, we've got some game film here for you, and most of these are going to be midline belly because that's what we ran the most of this year, mainly because we had 2 first-year quarterbacks. We've got one really good slot that we want to get the ball to as often as possible, and that should be part of your thought process in this. Whether you want to run midline or midline belly, if you got a really good dynamic slot that you want to get the ball to, run more midline belly, which is what we did. This first one is going to be just straight midline. We're seeing a 3-4 defense, so this tackle here is going to be our read key. Linebackers lined up a little bit wide, but you'll see the slot insert and block him, and our tackle is going to get out and block here. Okay, read key is closing. Quarterback pulls. He's going to get in and score. Okay, one thing I would tell him here is, as he's pulling, and this is a sophomore kid, as he pulls, he should be inserting into the line of scrimmage. He's kind of taking an angle here. We want him to get up and start working upfield right now. It works out for us to get a score here, but we want his path to be a little bit tighter. That was his first game. Okay, on these, we've got a couple end zone shots for you too, so it'll give you a little bit better angle. Again, we're seeing a odd front defense, which we see quite a bit. And one of the things we want to do when we see an odd front to help us get that 3 technique, we're going to use a formation with the tight end, because most often we're going to see that defense shift strong, and that helps us get us a 3 technique. So this is going to be midline belly to the right. So here's our read key. See our slot insert here, and get about a 10-yard gain. Slot inserts through there to get the block. This is a little better angle of it. So we're seeing the read key close. So it's going to be a pull. We're going to see the slot work up here to the linebacker. Our tackle is blocked out and protect that, and you're going to see a decent gap open up there for midline belly. And the safety's running downhill, and he's going to be the guy that is going to make the tackle. But this is why you want to tell your slot to be hitting that hole full speed, downhill, shoulder square, because right here he's got a two-way go. He can break inside of that safety, outside of that safety, puts his head down, he's got to run hard. Okay, same team. A little bit later, it's a different slot that's going to get the ball here. But here's our read key. And we got an end zone shot of this as well. So I'll talk you through it more with the end zone shot. Okay, read key here. You see our slot get up to this linebacker. Tackle's going to get out here, and you're going to see the safety come downhill for that too. Okay, so we got a decent hold there for the back. Pretty good shot of what it should look like. Okay, this is going to be another midline belly. Camera angle's not as good on this one. Might be a little better from the end zone shot, but I wanted to show you one where we actually gave it to the fullback. Okay, so we're seeing a 4-3 now. So this is our read key, middle backer. We should get a good dip and rip here with that guard working up to that linebacker, and we should see the backside guard and center kind of combo this, because we've got a one technique over to this side. And we could do a whole nother clinic talk on the specifics of the line play here, but we really want this guard to be able to take this by himself and let that center work up as they both scoop hard. Okay, and the only thing I would say here is we would want, as that read key comes upfield, our fullback should be bending here a little bit tighter. That linebacker has tried to come over the top and gap exchange, so he's cutting behind it a little bit. We'll get a decent gain off of it, but we would really want him getting more of a bend in that. Okay, same team here is trying to show you some with an odd or an even front. So we've got read key here and another midline belly. Okay, I'm going to show you this one because we're going to have a problem with it, and I think you can see it better here from the end zone clip. I would recommend discouraging your linemen to try to cut on the option play. We're going to see our backside guard here try to cut as part of his scoop to take care of this guy. He does a poor job, and you're going to see this backside, this one technique, play across his face and end up making the tackle. So, kind of kills the potential of a good play. We'll get inside, and you're going to see him come down inside and make the tackle. Okay, so we've got midline belly here. Read key is going to close. We're getting a really good push here. And like I was saying, this kid right here is a great back for us. He was named to the top 50 team in the state of Indiana for a two-way team, so he's a really good player. He gets the ball here, and he's just going to be able to outrun people to the end zone. So we want to get the ball in his hands. It's a way for us to keep running option and making sure our best back is getting the ball a little bit more. You'll see a couple other plays. See the end zone shot of that. The defensive end and the outside linebacker just collapsed into the play. He's going to bounce it outside. Okay, we're seeing an odd front here, and we're going to see something unusual here. Just want to cover it with you. The read key here is going to close. So our slot back's going to get the ball. We only saw this a couple times. This defensive end or outside linebacker is going to cut inside here into B gap. Our tackle knows his rules. He's normally blocking him out, but we emphasize that idea that he's protecting for the quarterback in midline or the second back in midline belly. So he knows that he's got to protect for that guy. So when he steps inside, he's washing him down. So we get it to the second back, get a decent play out of it. Give you the end zone shot here. Okay, again, this guy's going to close inside. It's not a great block, but he gets it taken care of. Slot back, bounces outside, and we get a decent gain out of it. Okay, same team, they're going to do the same thing to the other side. We'll get it to the second back, get a decent play here. Again, this is why you got a kid that can do something like that. You want to get the ball in his hands, but because we're an option team, we don't want the defense playing us in a way that we can't get it to him. So you see the end zone shot of it. It ends closing down. We wash him down. Really good player gets the ball in his hands. He's going to make an explosive play for you. So that's the reason why we're running a lot more midline belly this year than straight midline. Okay, we get an example here. I think it's the only example I could find where we are running it to a one technique. And this kid really doesn't play it particularly well. He still runs upfield a little bit. I'm sorry, he's going to close, but he's going to close a little bit slow. So he doesn't destroy the mesh. And again, we get a really good push. You see linemen working upfield here from the backside. Again, get it in the hands of that really good back. He's going to make a good play for you. This will be the last clip, show you here with the end zone view of that. So we got a one technique here. We're running it to the one technique. He's closing, but he's closing a little bit slow. We'll get it to the second back. You've got to really praise your linemen when they're working downfield like that to get that for you. Okay, so appreciate your time. We talked about some midline belly. I hope that helps you. Thank you.